Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much for coming on out and talking to us today. We spent a lot of time today talking so far about who's got the development edge and where we're kind of building that direction, certainly about competition with China. So I don't want to go over those right now as they were very well talked through. Mr. Wang, you talked about in your opening statement, talking about how some of the main technology of the past being about nuclear development and whatnot, sort of shaping that era, and this very well likely shaping our era. So I wanted to kind of get a sense from you all about what you think proliferation of this technology and possible weaponry would look like. You know, when we were in the nuclear era, which, you know, we still are, you know, we have a situation here where only a very few set of countries have been able to reach that threshold of technology, and proliferation has been in many ways kind of tried the effort to be kind of contained in that capacity. So I guess I wanted to ask you, for me, that doesn't necessarily seem like the kind of setup that we're likely to see over the coming decade or two. What does it look like to you? Are we going to have a situation where the US and China and a handful of countries are the major developers and gatekeepers to this technology, but the actual weapon systems and technology will be potentially mass deployed and able for purchase by pretty much any nation that's out there? Just give us a sense of what that proliferation and topography and landscape looks like.
I think this is a really good question. You know, I think in terms of impact, artificial intelligence is going to be similar to nuclear weaponry, but as you mentioned, it is a technology that is likely to be ubiquitous. Artificial intelligence can be used across every single domain, every single function, every single activity that the military has today. So it's not sort of contained as one individual weapon. And it's a technology that is increasingly becoming a global technology. A few months ago, the UAE announced their own large language model that they had built called Falcon 40B. They actually open sourced that model to the world so that anybody on the internet can go and download that model, that large language model for use. We're seeing with the open source community when it comes to large language models that this technology is likely to be accessible in some way, shape, or form to nearly everyone in the world. That being said, I think that is not a reason to give up hope because of one of the things I mentioned before, which is for military use cases and military applications, you need algorithms that are trained on military data. And
I mean, Mr. Kitchen, if you don't mind, I'd like to bring you in, but would we find a situation where, yes, some country or entity or company is doing that, but then able to then sell that type of technology and weaponry to a country or to a group? Mr. Kitchen, I'd like to also get your thoughts on potential for rogue actors, non-state actors to be able to get this type of technology, to be able to utilize it. So if you don't mind, give us some of your thoughts.
So I agree with Alex in the sense of this technology having the same strategic impact of something like nuclear weapons, but one of the peculiarities of it is that this technology is overwhelmingly being developed in the private sector for commercial applications, unlike nukes.
Yeah.
And so one of the implications of that is that because of that and the fact that so much is done via the open source model, it's instant proliferation. It's available in terms of the underlying technology and capacity. But it's going to be the applications, the particular applications that really make the difference when it comes to capability distinctions. So, and that's where Alex's points about the United States having a potential advantage on military data, right? How we apply the underlying capability is really, really going to matter, and that's where the advantage comes to us. Now, when we think about non-state actors or kind of rogue actors, I think where the most acute challenge there is probably on novel and traditional cyber exploitation of these capabilities. So the ability to generate malicious code and automate it and deploy it is now going to be democratized to a level and at a scale that is going to be difficult.
I want to just get one last question, Doctor, to bring you in on this. When we're talking about this proliferation, seeing the potential for non-state actors and others, I guess, we talked about some of these frameworks. The U.S. needs to lead the way, but should we be thinking about an actual international agreement here, an international treaty? Like, what kind of structure should we be building towards to give our ability to try to structure that as a whole?
I completely agree. We need to think about both the domestic side. So within the United States, we need to think about how we should be governing these type of technologies, understanding its risks and having mitigation process in place. But we do need to work with allies at the international level.
Okay, thank you. I yield back.